Comic Books and Books, we have some interesting news shaking up this week. First up, the details on the creative teams behind the other stories in that big Marvel DC crossover book, 2 books, I guess, that we're getting. We're also going to explore why one of the major indies has pulled out of their distribution deal with Diamond. And then to top things off, we're going to get into the first new Dungeons and Dragons book from Dark Horse. So let's get into all this to break it down, shall we? Hello, nerds. Welcome to the Clips channel. This is a clip, as if the channel name was not specific enough. This clip specifically comes from a show that I do over on the main channel called The Week in Nerddom. We are going to be talking about comic books and books very specifically in this clip. So news from the last week that has to do with everything comic books and books. Generally more on the comic book side because the books side of things is kind of a little bit more slow going when it comes to nerdy content, but we do still cover it. So that being said, I appreciate you joining me. Let's get into the news. We actually have follow-ups and corrections for comic books and books this week. It's all comic book news. I don't think we have any book news. It's all comic books. So our first one has to do with the Diamond situation. Diamond Distributors is really just dropping the ball left and right. They've been ghosting people. We've talked about this. Now we have a number of comic book publishers who are no longer distributing through them. That we've been kind of keeping tabs on that. Not the best detail, but still the most recent of those is Oni Press. The Oni Press Comics is no longer going to be distributing through Diamond Distributions. They will be distributing through Lunar Distribution. They are trying to minimize how much that affects their readers, though I mean, they're changing distributors, so it's going to affect a lot of people, right? Presumably, though, they're doing everything they can to make those hiccups as few and far between as possible. Presumably, it's for the exact same reasons that everyone else is pulling out of Diamond, because they were ghosted, they haven't been getting payments on time, etc., etc., etc. So, Oni Press, in their official statement, did say that they hope this is only a temporary situation and that things can get worked out between them and Diamond. However, for the foreseeable future, they will be distributing through Lunar Distribution. That's what we have there. Next up is the other follow-up for this episode is the Marvel DC crossover event that is happening later this year. We now know more about the other creative teams aside from the Batman and Deadpool main story. So if you remember, going to be primarily Batman and Deadpool is the big story in the 2 books, and then there's going to be a series of side stories, if you will, elsewhere. Is that what it was in Johnny? I can't remember. Johnny the Homicide Maniac, they had the elsewheres. Pretty sure that's what that was. Anyway, so let's get into this. I think the big name on this that is going to be, I don't know, kind of the most divisive. I don't know if necessarily like exciting is the best way to describe this, but Kevin Smith is one of the writers for these other books. Kevin Smith will be writing Daredevil and Green Arrow, both books that he's written for previously, and very notoriously did not finish his Green Arrow book. Pretty sure he finished the Daredevil book, but not the Green Arrow book, so that's really funny. Somebody else had to come in and do that. Andy Kubert is going to be the other writer on that. We're going to get art from the next creative team is Chip Zdarsky and Terry Dobson. They're going to be doing Captain America and Wonder Woman, which is really cool. And then we have Kelly Thompson, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce his name, and I apologize in advance, Gurihiru, who will be doing Land Shark and Krypto for the book. So that's kind of cool. We now know quite a bit more about this. I don't think there are any other stories that are going to be in these books. If there are, though, we will follow up and I will let you know. Until then, let's move right along into some regular ass news. And that is a brand new Dungeons and Dragons book, which is kind of noteworthy because this is the first time that Dark Horse is doing this on their own. Yes, technically speaking, we have got the other Dungeons and Dragons books. There was the Dungeons and Dragons and Stranger Things books, but that's not a solo Dungeons and Dragons book. We also have the Critical Role books are on Dark Horse, and those could technically be considered D&D books, but that's more the story that is written by Critical Role and is not directly from Wizards of the Coast. As far as Wizards of the Coast is concerned, this is the first official solo D&D book that Dark Horse is in charge of, so that is noteworthy in and of itself. The writer on this book is going to be Greg Pak, who did the Serenity series a few years ago that we covered in pretty good detail. So I'm pretty interested to see what he brings to this, because I really dug what he did with the Serenity book, or it's Serenity is the movie. Firefly, good lord, sorry, brain fart, just kind of skipped the same thing. Firefly, he did the Firefly book years ago. I'm interested to see what he brings to this one. And we have art from Wilton Santos, we have ink from Edvan Alves, we have color from Raul Angulo, and lettering from Nate Piekos. The story is going to be based on the prose novel that came out last year from Jaleigh Johnson, titled The Fallbacks Bound for Ruin. This is D&D. The Fallbacks is the name of this comic. And then, yeah, it's going to be 4 issues long. That was the other thing. 4 issues long. On comic shelves, October 15th is when issue number 1 will be coming out. No word as to whether the frequency with which it comes out. I'm pretty sure it's going to be once a month, but that is just speculation on my part. That is the one piece of regularized news we have for comic books and books. Let's talk about our suggestion for the week. Suggestion. Honestly, we've been talking about this book so much, I'm kind of confused why I didn't suggest it earlier, but Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man, that started in 2024 is the current book that is going right now. Ultimate Spider-Man, it is the alternate, technically the alternate version of Spider-Man, even though it is the one that seems to be getting the better sales numbers these days. If you're not on this train yet, you really need to be. Jonathan Hickman and Marco Cacchetto this is their take on Peter Parker being married to MJ. So like, of course, this is the ideal, and Jonathan freaking Hickman writing Spider-Man. Why would you not want to read this book? I don't know how many trades we have for it at this time, but it is, again, it started in 2024. It is the one that is currently going, so I think we have a number of arcs that have gone through. So pick up any one of them, because Hickman doing Spider-Man, gotta love it. That's your suggestion for the week. All right, nerds, we're gonna cut away from the show real quick, and we're gonna do our little sponsor spot. DUBBY, channel partner, they have put out a new flavor, and it is s'mores. And that's what I have in here, is the s'mores flavor. S'mores is unique in that you mix it with milk instead of water, like the other powdered drinks that they have. But gotta be honest with you, this is addicting. It's 250 milligrams caffeine total in here, just like all of their other blends. 100 milligrams of that comes from the coffee fruit extract. So you have actually kind of a hybridization of the caffeine in this. We're gonna get a little nerdy about our caffeine intake real quick. So the hybridization comes from, you have the caffeine, I'm gonna have to look at the ingredients. It's anhydrous, that's the word I was looking for. Caffeine anhydrous is the artificial caffeine. It's the stuff that you metabolize really quickly. That is the stuff that you'll burn through really fast. And that usually is what gets you the crash, the quote unquote caffeine crash that you get from lesser brands of caffeine. Well, because you also have 100 milligrams of coffee fruit extract, which is where they get that caffeine from, that is the stuff that you metabolize a little bit slower, because it is a natural source of caffeine. So that's what helps the crash, helps you avoid the crash, is what I'm trying to say. That is why this is something that they can say you don't get a jitter from, because you have natural caffeine in here as well. So it kind of, you ride that a little bit better than you would the fake caffeine. You also have the nootropics in here. You also have the good stuff for your brain, the stuff that's getting you aware and conscious, so that you can do the nightly grind, so you can stay up and edit your YouTube videos for 12 hours, or you can do the study hall stuff and get ready for the test, assuming you're in school of some sort, or whatever the need is that you have for an energy drink. DUBBY does it, and they do it cheaper. Each portion of this turns out to be right about $1. With your discount, it's a little bit cheaper because you get 10% off if you go to dubby.gg and then use code GenerallyNerdy at checkout in order to buy your Dubby. I'm halfway through my first s'mores portion, and so normally I film these after I've already filmed the show for the day. We're doing it before because I'm definitely going to finish this before I'm done filming the show because it's legitimately really delicious. Like dangerously tasty. Tastes just like it's more like a chocolate shake with marshmallows than s'mores, but like that's kind of what s'mores is chocolate and marshmallows, right? And it's exactly what this tastes like. So Dubby s'mores is their new special flavor. They're the only people who do a s'mores flavor. Most of the other flavors they have are kind of variations on something that everybody else does. This is absolutely unique to Dubby. Super dig it. I'm appreciative that they chose to partner with the channel. I'm super happy for that. Again, is the website. Code GenerallyNerdy at checkout gets you 10% off your whole cart when you check out. You can only use one code at a time, so you know, be aware. And they run specials all the time outside of that too. So if you get on the mailing list, you'll catch all the specials. You can always use my code though, GenerallyNerdy at checkout, and that will always get you 10% unless you have another code. So go check out Dubby. I'm gonna finish this soon and we're gonna get back to the show now. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of these sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.